disaster struck, and I am no stranger to this kind of disaster. Someone in the middle of the night smashed one of the flower pots that sits on my stoop. One of the flower pots that my friend Guy Wolf made. Luckily, the myrtle plant was not damaged. This is not the first time this has happened. For about 8 years, I have been planting things and putting them on the stoop. When I first moved into this building 10 years ago, I saw the stoop and I thought, it feels kind of empty. I think that those plinths need something. So I asked Guy if he would make some flower pots that would fit the size of the plinths. He did. I planted them up with topiaries. They looked so beautiful. People on the street, like when I would trim the topiaries, they would stop and say, "This is so beautiful. Thank you for doing this." And it added so much to my everyday. Every day that I left my apartment and saw the topiaries, it would just make me smile. And when I would come back home at the end of the day and I would see the topiaries sitting there in the sunshine, I would smile again. So that first year, in the middle of the night, I was sleeping and I was woken up to some person screaming in the street from far down the street, and I heard smash, 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 getting closer and closer, and the person was pushing over garbage cans. And then I thought, oh no, I hope. I was just waiting. It was like 3 a.m. and I thought, I hope he doesn't do it to the flower pots. And then I heard the sickening crash of pottery. And when I looked out my window, I saw one of these plants just hurled down the sidewalk, and the pot was just smashed. So I'm just going to replant this and continue talking while I replant this. So what do you do? What do you do when that happens? And people said to me, when I first put these pots out, are you really going to put those plants out? They're so nice. What if someone steals them? What if they get broken? And I think you know that my philosophy is that's not the way I live. I don't live in fear of things being destroyed or stolen. I don't let that stop me from actually using things and enjoying them on a daily basis. So for me, this is like a key point to my life. So here's the replacement pot, which I made this time. I was in Rhode Island and I wanted to try this shape for the first time. This is Guy Wolf's garden bowl, and it's 9 pounds of clay, which was kind of big for me because I can throw 6 pounds of clay comfortably, and I challenged myself, and I've started working on this shape. So luckily, I had some of these bowls that I had made, and the first thing I do when I replant is we cover this drainage hole with something. And I'm just gonna sneak back here and grab a little something. Actually, from Rhode Island, I always collect shells when I'm there for this purpose. Little shells. I just put the shells there like this because it allows the water to drain through, but it doesn't fully block the hole. So what I did that first time when the pots got smashed was I asked Guy to make another pot, and he made a replacement. And then I put them on the stoop, and one day the wind blew the plant over. I always happen to be in here when it happens, because I was in here and it was really windy, and I thought, are those plants going to be okay? And that year the topiaries were really, really tall, so they kind of acted like a sail. And I guess, I thought, are they going to be okay? Yeah, they'll be fine. And then I heard smash, and I went downstairs, and the poor plant was over. So then Guy made another pot. And this time, I asked him, actually he made 2. I asked him to design something that I could put a chain around the bottom. And he did that, and I planted those, and then one cracked because the plant grew too big. Anyways, I'm rambling now, but the point is, these pots have gone out there, and they're out there to be used. And I don't fear that I do fear that something's going to happen to them, but I don't live in that fear. I don't let it get to me. And this time, it's been a long time actually. It's been like a few years since someone has smashed a pot. And the last time I replaced the pot, I didn't put the chain around the bottom because I thought, I think these are going to be okay. But I feel like the chain maybe acted as a deterrent, even if someone was kind of out of their mind while they were angry walking down the street. If they saw the chain, maybe they wouldn't attempt to destroy the pot. But these pots, to me, over the 8 years of doing this, they've kind of come to represent something in my life that is much more than just beautiful plants on the stoop. And when I see these, I don't just see the myrtle plant and the pots that Guy Wolf made. I see the risk that I take. It's not really a risk, but the embracing of the potential for these to be destroyed. But the fact that in my life, I value a beautiful experience more than the potential of losing something. When I think of all of the days that these have survived, like I said, the last time this happened was 3 years ago. So that was 3 years of every single time I left this apartment or came back, I saw these plants. And that brought me joy. And that's worth it. That risk of these being broken by some person that is doing something that's totally out of my control, that risk is worth it. These two plants, when they're on the stoop, they flank the doorway. And when my friend Laura was visiting, she was here when they came back from the greenhouse after being in the greenhouse all winter, and we put them out on the stoop. And she's like, they're like two sisters. So Laura and I have named these myrtles the Sisters Myrtle. And I think that that's such an appropriate name for these two plants because Myrtle's a lady's name, as many of you might know. But seeing the Sisters Myrtle side by side on the stoop, tiny little thing that is very worth this effort. Putting these plants out on the stoop has really changed what this building looks like. And it's been really nice to hear from the neighbors in the building and passersby in the street that they smile as well when they pass these myrtle plants. I don't know how many of you know about myrtle topiaries, but they're very special because they're very finicky. They're not really easy to keep alive in this part of the States when it gets cold. They like to be in full sun. They like to be in warm weather. They can tolerate like low temperatures here and there, but I got these plants from Ken Saloti at Atlock Farm 3 or 4 years ago, and I got a bunch of other myrtles with the plan of keeping them alive inside my apartment while these two stayed outside. Well, these two survived, but guess what happened to all the other plants that were in here? They dead. So, their myrtle topiaries are so finicky. I remember one year I had kept one alive for so long, and I was like, oh, it's staying alive. And then I went on a trip for 2 weeks, and I asked my friend to come and visit. She was like, yeah, I'll water it. And when I came back, the soil was completely dry, and the plant was just completely shriveled up. And I didn't have any expectation that it would stay alive, but I just knew, like, this is not a plant that you can have if you're going to leave your apartment every couple months and go on a trip. They're just so finicky. So the superintendent of the building has been very diligent about taking care of the Sisters Myrtle. He was devastated when someone smashed the pot, but we're back up and running. One of the sisters was sad, and the other sister was sad too, because she wondered where her sibling had gone. But look how happy she is now, and she stayed alive, which was really good. I was just scared that when the pot was smashed, something might happen to one of these branches, it would break, but it hasn't. But I said it before, and I'm going to say it again. I don't live that way. even though it's precious, even though this is so precious and I love them so much, and even though this is really precious, you know, maybe part of the reason why I can really embrace the breaking of these pots is because I have been making them, and this was a challenge. And now that I know I can't make them as nice as guys, but that I can adequately make a bowl that will fit these myrtles, that's something of a motivator. Use the positive aspect of any tragedy to lift yourself back up, to find a way to turn it into something good. It's really, really, really hard sometimes, but there is always, if you really look, there is always a positive aspect from something that is sad, that makes you angry, that can make you full of despair. And when I heard that first pot smash, when I was lying in that bed, that initial feeling was just disgust. But don't keep that inside of you. You can sit in there for a little while, but move on and look for the thing that can make it better. Thank you for watching. Goodbye. Well, there's a denouement to this story. I just put the second pot back out on the stoop, and as I was watering it, someone yelled, excuse me sir, and it's New York City, so you never respond to that. So I just continued watering, and a man came over. He was in a suit, and he had his briefcase, and he said, are these yours? And I said, yes. And he said, my name's Peter, and I have to say, it was my kids who broke the pot on the stoop. They were kicking a soccer ball. He said I had 6 kids. So the guy just sent his kids over to apologize, which they did. So there's a happy ending to the story and hope for humanity. See? You just never know.